Now I would like to introduce our final speaker in this segment, Manish Malhotra. He has defined Indian fashion across cinema, the runways, and across the world. His strong sense of color and design has made him the first choice of the most striking personalities across film, politics, business, and society in India and abroad. Besides designing for countless Bollywood stars, he's also styled Michael Jackson, Reese Witherspoon, and the Princess of Riyadh, among others. He not only established his foothold in the film industry by winning the first Filmfare Award for his film Rangila in 1996, but he has also redefined everyday fashion through his labels. In 2005, he launched Manish Malhotra, synonymous with opulent contemporary and bridal wear. His collections are inspired by craftsmanship, and he continues to give back to local communities through his work. So without further ado, let me welcome to the stage Manish Malhotra.
Thank you, Harvard, for inviting me here, because it somewhere assures a person who is not educated, who hasn't come to Harvard, who hasn't studied at all. I haven't even studied design. And so this evening and tonight, being with all of you all really means a lot to me. So thank you. Being here on the topic of inspire stories, many years ago, before many of you all were not even born, I was being inspired in movie theaters in Mumbai. For my entire childhood was in the film theaters. And I have to give it to my mother, who encouraged me and never stopped me from watching a film. I would tell her, I don't like your sari, there's something wrong with it. I like that actress's sari. And she would be like, what's wrong with you? Okay, go and see a film again. So she truly encouraged me. And my cousins are sitting here. They know that for a fact, whenever we met for family dinners, I would be like, hurry up, we've got to go and see this film. So my entire childhood was movies, and movies. I was fascinated by color, the clothes, music. I used to look at Yash Chopra's films and wonder, will I ever go to a 5-star hotel and have a meal? Will I ever have those kind of, when I saw a song of a film called Trishul, where they're playing golf, they're doing yoga, they're romancing, and they had these big parties in that film. I always thought, would I be ever there? Would I go to such parties? Would I ever meet film stars? Would I have this kind of lifestyle? Would I make a noise in this world, this entire big world? So with all those dreams, I came into college. And when I was in college, I started watching English films. So it was always movies for me. The only good thing that I did in school, because I was a real bad student, was that I enrolled myself into a drawing class. And that's where I learned painting, I learned drawing, sketching, and fascinated with it, I kept getting better and better. When I was in college, one day somebody offered me a modeling assignment, and I was like, I can model? Are you sure? So they said, you can. So I was very excited with that, and I started modeling. At the age of 19, I told my father that I haven't even been abroad. So I want to see the world, otherwise how will I make something out of my life? So he said, you're modeling, save your money, and go if you want to. And I really worked hard as a model. I used to take on every assignment. I used to not go and meet my friends. I used to be shooting every second day, taking every assignment that came to me so that I could travel abroad. And in those days, I managed to save some 90,000 rupees, and I went to Singapore and Bangkok for the first time, really proud that I could do this on my own. When I came back, I was so excited that I traveled abroad. I enrolled to Air India, that I want to be a purser. So when the question came to me, the exam that I had to give were all general knowledge questions, and I absolutely failed. Because all I knew was just movies. I took up a job in a boutique as a sales boy. My parents they were absolutely horrified. They were like, what are you doing? You're going to become a tailor? Why are you a sales boy? Why don't you join your father's air conditioning business? And I was like, no, I'm going to be a film director. So they said, why not a film actor? Every Punjabi mother feels her son is the best looking and he can become a hero. So every profession comes down to movies, and you should become an actor. So I was in this boutique, and I was a sales boy, but I took it on, and I used to sit with the tailors. I used to learn all about a cut. I was very curious. I used to ask questions. I used to meet up with the clients. I used to sketch all day long. I used to keep dressing up the mannequin. And that's the year which is about 1988, when the fashion movement in India was just starting. Ensemble was a store which was opening, and lots of designers had come out with their collections. So I was very fascinated with that, and I wanted to assist Yash Chopra. And I didn't know him, and I said, so how will I become a film director? And my parents would become an actor. And I said, no, I want to be a designer. And they were like, that means a tailor. I was like, no, I want to be a designer. So I kept 2 machines in my house. I had 2 tailors in my bedroom, and I started working and taking salwar kameez orders. My mother was horrified. She was like, I can't believe I have to tell my friends that my son takes salwar kameez orders and come and give him orders. And I was like, no, there is going to be something better out of this. And I met a photographer who took me to Sri Devi, who at that time was a huge star. This is 1990. I had just done a song for Juhi Chawla for her film Swarg. And I thought to myself, films is great to start with because no designer was touching movies. And they were all looking down upon films because the late 80s saw a complete decline of fashion in films. And I thought to myself, if I can make a change here, I'll be able to make a name. Since I don't have the money to go abroad and study fashion, and neither did I want to go to NIFT in Delhi because I didn't still want to stay with my relatives in Delhi. So I said that, let me start working on films. So here I was at 23, leaving modeling, completely doing a stop at that to my mother's unhappiness, and starting working in movies. And since I could sketch so fast, all the actors started giving me a lot of work. And it was 2-3 years of running around. The producers' checks would bounce. They would never pay the money. And can you hear me? Yeah. So my father would be like, you're going to lose money for whatever you made out of your modeling career. And I was determined. I didn't want to go to air conditioning business. And I said, what is that USP that I can give to my work? And I came with this concept of styling. So I was the first designer to introduce styling in Hindi movies. And I started with what would be your makeup, what's going to be your hair. And all the makeup artists was like, why is this costume designer interfering in our makeup and hair? What are the shoes? And I asked a director, I remember I was with this actor, Raveena Tandon, and we were listening to a script. And I said, but no, he was just telling her that make some Western clothes for her, sexy. So I looked at him and I said that, but what's the story of the film? What is she playing? And he looks at Raveena and he tells me, how dare he ask me the story of the film? And I was like, I'm just asking you for this character. And those days, they didn't really etch out characters. It was, she's a glamorous girl, she's an Indian girl, she'll wear salwar kameezes in these scenes, or she'll wear Western clothes. I happened to meet younger directors like Aditya Chopra, Karan Johar, Ram Gopal Verma, so many of them, and came Rangila and Raja Hindustani. The makeover happened. Not that planned, but yet all of us greedy, wanting to do something fabulous, wanting to work and change the way films looked. And in 1995, Filmfare Awards, for the first time, gave a costume design award ever, and that was to me, for the film Rangila. And from there, it all started, and here I was, oh my God, it's already only 5 minutes left? Oh, we have lots of question and answers, yeah. And then it was, from there, for a person who had not traveled at all, I was on a flight every week, either to Switzerland, doing those, if you all remember, if many of you all were born in the 90s, chiffon sari in the snow, while the heroes were clad in, mufflers and trench coats, and the girls were wearing itsy-bitsy blouses, which I was stacking there, and in the snow. And so I was in and out of Switzerland, I was in London shopping, I was in New York shopping, but I have to say to all of you here, that I think for me the best education has been travel. Learning, imbibing, watching people, watching different culture, seeing fashion, seeing everything around has been the biggest education for me. And while I was interested, of course, and I thought that was my life. My dream was fulfilled. I'm going to be a costume designer all my life. I'm already working with the best of directors, producers, actresses, actors. And came a very prestigious Birla family couple, Yash and Avanti Birla, who offered me a retail store. And I was like, I'm a costume designer. And that's how I started my store, and that's how I came into retail. And then I moved on to launching my own label, which was in the year 2006. And 2-3 years went balancing, movies and my own label. And that's the first time I introduced the concept of a showstopper. Fashion critiques criticized me that all my fashion shows had a very impressive film industry front row, and which was not really the norm in fashion in those days, and neither was a showstopper. But 11 years later, I can say something that today actors are paid to be showstoppers, and everybody looks at having a good front row. So there was a fashion and trend that I started, and work went on, and I was busy day by day doing more and more work. I love to work. I don't like Sundays. I wake up every morning at 6 a.m., and I dream all the time of what next am I going to do. I'm a visualizer. I manifest, and sometimes the manifestations are personal, sometimes they're professional, but for all those goals, it's always work. And you have to work hard to, like when Madhavan spoke about dreaming, for all our dreams to be fulfilled, you have to work. And I love to work. So when the label moved on, and we started a big store in Delhi. So I was the first designer to start a 9,500 square feet store in Delhi. And it changed the way my company worked. My positioning in the fashion industry became more serious. And we became one of the first 100 crore independent companies in fashion design. And today, when we look at, and I'm asked to look at 2030, I look at India, I look at Indian fashion to be on par with international fashion. I hopefully see a lot of investors coming and investing with Indian designers. We have everything. We have culture, we have tradition, we have texture, textile, we have great craftsmen. I run an NGO with actor Shabana Azmi, and where we had 40 women working, and now we have 280 women who come to our institute and work and do beautiful chicken curry in a small village called Mijwa. And I want to take a lot of the handloom, beautiful woven work from Banaras, Mijwa, and all of that work internationally. And I think a lot of Indian designers are going to be out there by 2030, and Indian fashion, Indian textile is going to be up there. And we all will be celebrating it. So I had requested that I'm not going to talk too much and bore you all. I'm going to want you all to ask me questions. It's all about getting to know each other. And whatever questions you all have, please ask me. And no gossip questions, though.
Hello, Manish. It's very nice having you here. Still, hello? Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. I don't have any question, but I have a small suggestion, because for the last 2 years, I've been...
So you have a question or you don't?
Yeah, I have a question. So,
Okay.
But I said it's a suggestion. So for the last 2 years, I'm deeply saddened reading suicides of thousands of people of handloom industry. So I want you to promote handloom industry and make handloom fashionable, so that you can...
Well, I must tell you that, yes, there's a lot of attention being paid to weavers all over India. And in fact, to correct you, I think for the last 2 years, handloom has really been in fashion. In fact, you see the whole wedding industry is growing, and there's been a huge growth in the last 3 years. And I see a lot of brides today looking at handloom and textiles. So I think there's a lot of movement in India towards handloom.
Thank you.
And by 2030, I see it in all the fashion houses all over the world.
Thank you, Manish. This was really awesome. I actually took a picture with you yesterday, and then I sent it to my wife. So
Did she like it? Did she think I was fat?
She loved it. She couldn't be here because of the kids, but the question is from her. So I said I'll go ask him. The first thing she said was, "You have really changed how women dress in India." So that's a pretty big compliment. I don't really understand it fully.
But the women, Indian women generally, everywhere, all over the world, are beautiful. And for me, all the women are muses, because they do so much for clothes and everything.
So here's her question. She says your stuff is too good, but it's not affordable. And how do you make it more affordable and more accessible so that people, not just the stars, but everyone can enjoy it?
I'm looking at expansion. I'm looking at investors. I'm looking so much to work more harder so that I can grow further. I can have a huge infrastructure to make more clothes, and that will make them more reasonable. So give me some time. I promise you they'll be even more reasonable than they are.
Thank you, Mr. Malhotra. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I would like to request all.
But this girl, let her ask, but she's right there next to the mic.
Okay, you need to finish the question in 10 seconds.
Okay. I'm Ria Chawla. I'm a high school student in Boston. So that made me 1 year old when Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum came out. So even back then, I remember wanting that Kareena Kapoor Sharara from there. So my question is, even now you're modernizing all your lehengas, even in like the Badrinath Ki Dulhania cold shoulder lehenga. What sets you apart from other designers in this age in a consistently evolving industry? And yeah.
Well, I think fashion and style is all about change, and I'm trying to keep my work relevant and introducing a lot of global influences of fashion into my Indian wear, and so that youngsters like you can enjoy it, and young people of Harvard can keep calling me again. Thank you.